RoboCop isn't just a cult classic. It's one of the strangest productions in Hollywood history. From bizarre behind-the-scenes accidents to shocking casting choices, the making of RoboCop is filled with stories you probably never knew. So let's dive into 20 weird and fascinating facts about RoboCop, 1987.
I think Rob Bottin here has really designed and created one of the most interesting, most spectacular robots I've ever seen on film.
Number 1. RoboCop's suit nearly killed Peter Weller. Peter Weller might have looked invincible on screen, but in reality, his RoboCop suit was a nightmare. Made of fiberglass and heavy rubber, it weighed nearly 50 pounds, and once he was inside, he could barely move or breathe. The suit trapped heat so badly that Weller often lost up to 3 pounds of water weight per day just from sweating. Crew members even had to set up giant fans and hydrate him constantly to keep him from passing out. For an actor already under immense pressure, this made every scene exhausting. Yet Weller pushed through, making his stiff, deliberate movements look natural for the character, turning real discomfort into RoboCop's eerie robotic presence.
Bionic man or bionic woman. It's not about a human-looking thing with mechanics inside, right?
Number 2. The suit took 11 hours to put on the first time. The RoboCop suit wasn't just uncomfortable, it was unbelievably complicated to assemble. The very first time the production team tried to put it on Peter Weller, it took 11 straight hours just to get everything aligned. Every piece had to be fitted perfectly, from the chest plate to the thigh holster. Weller described it as the most frustrating moment of his career. Imagine waiting nearly half a day before even shooting a scene. Luckily, with practice, the team managed to reduce the time to around 90 minutes. But by then, the damage was done. Weller had to rethink his entire acting style to compensate for the bulky suit. Ironically, this struggle helped shape the stiff, calculated movements that made RoboCop so iconic.
RoboPaper keeps the robo hat off my ears so I can listen to what in the world's going on around me.
Number 3. RoboCop's walk came from ballet training. To bring RoboCop to life, Peter Weller didn't just rely on the heavy suit. He studied movement like a dancer. He worked with a professional mime and ballet instructor to craft a robotic walk that looked mechanical, yet oddly human. The goal was to make RoboCop intimidating, but not clumsy. Weller spent weeks practicing precise arm swings, stiff turns, and calculated head movements. He even studied insects and machines for inspiration. But when the heavy suit arrived, all his practice went out the window. He had to relearn his walk entirely, balancing the suit's limitations with his performance. That blend of artistry and necessity gave RoboCop his unique, unforgettable physical presence that still feels futuristic today.
This guy is really good.
He's not a guy, he's a machine.
What are they gonna do, replace us?
Number 4. RoboCop's gun was custom-made and massive. One of the most recognizable parts of RoboCop is his futuristic sidearm, the Auto 9 pistol. But here's the twist. It wasn't a real weapon. Instead, it was a heavily modified Beretta 93R, custom-built by the production team to look oversized and menacing. Director Paul Verhoeven insisted on a gun so large that it looked like only a cyborg could handle it. The prop department even added fake muzzle extensions and futuristic touches to enhance its bulk. Weller trained extensively to perform RoboCop's signature gun twirl, which became one of the film's coolest visual flourishes. The gun was so big, though, that it couldn't fit into a standard holster. That's why the team engineered the iconic mechanical thigh holster, another brilliant piece of movie magic.
Okay, next shot. Thank you very much. Thank you. Just a little bit blood, that's natural, suppose, or is it just fake blood? Huh?
Number 5. Paul Verhoeven almost quit over the script. Director Paul Verhoeven, who went on to make classics like Total Recall and Starship Troopers, almost never made RoboCop. When he first read the script, he thought it was garbage, a mindless action flick about a robot cop. He literally threw it in the trash. But his wife picked it up, read it, and convinced him it was secretly a brilliant piece of satire about consumerism, corruption, and media control. Once he looked deeper, Verhoeven realized the script was much smarter than he thought. Without his wife's insight, the film might have been directed by someone else entirely. and it probably wouldn't have had the biting social commentary that made RoboCop such a lasting classic.
How can we help you, officer?
Dick Jones is wanted for murder.
Number 6. RoboCop was almost played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Before Peter Weller was cast, the studio seriously considered Arnold Schwarzenegger for the role of RoboCop. On paper, it made sense. He was the biggest action star of the 80s, and his success in The Terminator made him a natural fit. But there was a problem. The RoboCop suit was already massive. Putting it on Schwarzenegger's bulky frame would have made him look like a walking tank. The producers realized the suit would be so oversized that he'd look comical, not intimidating. So they went with the slimmer Peter Weller, whose build worked perfectly with the armor's design. In the end, the choice gave RoboCop a sleek, machine-like silhouette, rather than just another muscle-bound hero.
These ridiculous things coming out of my ears are just ridiculous things coming out of my ears.
Number 7. Peter Weller was fired mid-shoot. Not many people know this, but Peter Weller was actually fired halfway through filming. The director and Weller constantly clashed over the character's movements and the grueling demands of the suit. At one point, Verhoeven replaced him with stuntman Money Moshanov, but it didn't last long. The producers quickly realized that without Weller's dedication and unique physical performance, the movie simply didn't work. So Weller was rehired, and production continued with him in the role. The conflict caused delays and tension, but ultimately it showed just how vital Weller was to RoboCop's success. His vision of a cold, deliberate, yet tragic cyborg defined the film's entire tone. Number 8. The ED-209 malfunction scene was based on real tech fails. The famous boardroom scene where ED-209 malfunctions and blasts an executive to pieces wasn't just sci-fi fantasy, it was inspired by real-world tech failures. Designer Craig Hayes modeled ED-209 after clumsy military prototypes, which often looked intimidating but didn't function well. In fact, the gag of ED-209 being unable to walk downstairs came from Hayes' observation that engineers often over-design machines without thinking of simple flaws. The scene was Verhoeven's satirical jab at corporations rushing dangerous technology into production without testing it properly. The over-the-top violence just made the point even clearer. Sometimes the future of law enforcement is deadlier than the criminals.
We get the best of both worlds. The fastest reflexes modern technology has to offer, onboard computer-assisted memory.
Number 9. RoboCop's HUD wasn't CGI, it was hand-drawn. One of RoboCop's coolest features is his heads-up display, HUD, showing targets, codes, and mission text. In the age of CGI, you'd assume this was digital, but in 1987, computers weren't advanced enough. Instead, artists hand-drew all the HUD graphics frame by frame and then overlaid them onto the film in post-production. This painstaking process gave RoboCop's POV shots their distinct, jittery look. Interestingly, the technical limitations accidentally worked in the movie's favor. It made RoboCop's perspective feel clunky and robotic, as if his internal systems were primitive. The result was both believable and futuristic, proving that sometimes old-school methods create the most timeless effects. Number 10. The violence nearly got the film banned. RoboCop is infamous for its brutal violence, but originally it was even bloodier. Paul Verhoeven submitted the film to the MPAA 11 times, and each time it was rated X for excessive violence. To secure an R rating, Verhoeven cut several scenes, including extended shots of Murphy's gruesome execution and longer takes of ED-209's gory boardroom kill. Ironically, Verhoeven said trimming the scenes actually made them funnier and more satirical, since the violence became sudden and absurd instead of drawn out. Still, even the theatrical cut pushed boundaries, shocking audiences with its mix of ultraviolence and dark humor. Today, the uncut version is available, giving fans the chance to see RoboCop in all its over-the-top glory.
It's really good to see you again, Murphy.
Number 11. RoboCop's helmet was a nightmare for acting. Peter Weller had a unique problem. He couldn't use his face to express emotion because most of it was covered by RoboCop's helmet. The only parts of his face visible were his mouth and jawline. That meant he had to rely on tiny mouth movements, jaw tension, and vocal delivery to convey emotion. Weller studied with acting coaches to master micro-expressions, making subtle shifts that audiences could still read as human. The challenge paid off. RoboCop feels cold and mechanical, yet strangely emotional. Weller himself later said that learning to act through such limited expression was one of the hardest but most rewarding experiences of his career. It transformed RoboCop from a costume role into a true performance.
Somebody want to call a goddamn paramedic? Let's go, Johnson! You pull a plug on this thing!
Number 12. The film predicted real corporate takeovers. RoboCop's satire wasn't just funny, it was shockingly prophetic. In the movie, the mega corporation Omni Consumer Products, OCP, buys out Detroit's police force and controls the city's future. At the time, this seemed like dark comedy, but soon after, real-world private corporations began taking over aspects of public services, including prisons and even policing contracts. Critics later praised RoboCop for predicting the dangers of unchecked corporate power. Verhoeven and the writers intended it as a parody of 1980s greed culture, but in hindsight, it looks eerily accurate. The genius of RoboCop is that beneath the explosions and action, it was holding up a mirror to society. Number 13. RoboCop's catchphrase was almost different. "Dead or alive, you're coming with me" is one of RoboCop's most iconic lines, but it almost never existed. Early drafts of the script had him saying more generic police phrases like "halt" or "you are under arrest." It was Weller who argued that RoboCop needed short, punchy catchphrases that felt both robotic and memorable. The writers reworked the dialogue, creating lines that were simple but chilling. What's more, Weller gave them a deliberate monotone delivery, making them sound like computer code come to life. Fans loved it so much that RoboCop's catchphrases became central to his character, repeated in sequels, cartoons, and even toy commercials. Without those lines, RoboCop might not have become the pop culture icon we know today. Number 14. The gas station explosion was real. One of the most jaw-dropping moments in RoboCop is when a gas station explodes in a massive fireball. Unlike today's CGI-heavy movies, that explosion was 100% real. The stunt crew rigged the station with explosives and filmed it in a single take. It was so powerful that nearby residents reportedly heard the blast and thought there had been an accident. The stunt performer inside the station had only seconds to escape before the entire set blew sky high. Paul Verhoeven insisted on real explosions whenever possible, believing it gave the film a raw, gritty look. Watching the sequence today, the practical effects still hold up, and it's a reminder of just how dangerous 1980s filmmaking could be.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
Number 15. RoboCop's design was inspired by Judge Dredd and Iron Man. When designing RoboCop's look, artist Rob Bottin drew inspiration from both comic books and sci-fi icons. Judge Dredd's imposing helmet and Iron Man's armored suit both influenced the final design. Bottin wanted RoboCop to look futuristic yet slightly retro, as if built by corporations cutting corners. Interestingly, the design went through multiple versions, some more insect-like and others closer to medieval knights. The final result struck the perfect balance between man and machine, with smooth armor plating and a human-like jaw exposed. This design became so iconic that it inspired future robots in pop culture. Even modern cyborg characters owe a debt to RoboCop's pioneering look. Number 16. RoboCop's car was just a modified Ford Taurus. For all the futuristic tech in RoboCop, his patrol car wasn't anything high-tech. It was just a 1986 Ford Taurus with a few cosmetic modifications. The filmmakers chose it because the Taurus had a sleek, boxy design that looked futuristic at the time. With a matte black paint job and reinforced panels, it became RoboCop's signature ride. But in reality, it was just a standard sedan underneath. Ironically, the Ford Taurus sales skyrocketed after the movie came out, as fans saw it as the car of the future. It's a reminder that sometimes movie magic is just clever design tricks and good timing. Number 17, The Cocaine Factory. Shootout was pure chaos. The epic shootout in the cocaine factory is one of the most action-packed sequences in the film, but behind the scenes it was almost a disaster. The set was filled with breakaway props, fake drugs, and squibs, explosive blood packs. Every extra had to hit their marks perfectly or the whole take would be ruined. Verhoeven directed the sequence like a symphony of chaos, encouraging actors to scream and improvise. The explosions and gunfire were so loud that even the crew wore ear protection. The result was cinematic mayhem, RoboCop tearing through criminals in a storm of bullets. It's one of the best showcases of 1980s over-the-top action filmmaking, and it was just as wild behind the camera as on screen.
Sometime in the not-too-distant future, it's talking and electronic RoboCop. Hands up!
Number 18. RoboCop became a toy for kids. Despite the violence, RoboCop was an R-rated film filled with blood and gore, but that didn't stop toy companies from jumping on the craze. Soon after the movie's release, RoboCop action figures hit store shelves, marketed directly to children. The character even got a Saturday morning cartoon series in 1988, heavily toned down to remove violence. The irony wasn't lost on critics. How could a film known for its graphic violence and corporate satire become kids' entertainment? But the toy line sold extremely well, proving that RoboCop had transcended its adult themes to become a pop culture icon. It was one of the first times an R-rated movie successfully crossed into mainstream children's merchandising. Number 19. RoboCop won an Oscar for sound effects. Despite being seen as a sci-fi action flick, RoboCop actually took home an Academy Award for Best Sound Editing. The film's sound designers created an entirely unique audio landscape, from RoboCop's heavy metallic footsteps to the mechanical whirring of his movements. They even used slowed-down servo motors and hydraulic sounds layered with human breathing to capture the mix of man and machine. The sound work made RoboCop feel alive, and it impressed critics enough to earn Hollywood's highest honor. It proved that even popcorn action films could be technical masterpieces. Today, RoboCop's sound design is still praised as one of the most innovative in the genre.
We now have pictures of the highly detailed foam figure, which were posted online over the weekend. Behold, the towering RoboCop in all his majesty.
Number 20. RoboCop's legacy was cemented in Detroit. Though filmed mostly in Dallas, RoboCop became so strongly associated with Detroit that in 2014, fans actually built a giant RoboCop statue in the city. The character had become a symbol of Detroit's resilience, representing justice in the face of corruption. What started as a joke suggestion online turned into a fan-funded campaign, raising tens of thousands of dollars. Today, the RoboCop statue stands as a quirky but beloved landmark, proving how deeply the film resonated with the city it depicted. For many fans, RoboCop isn't just science fiction, it's a cultural hero who became part of Detroit's identity. And there you have it, 20 weird facts you didn't know about RoboCop. From nearly killing its star to predicting real-world corporate takeovers, this film was way more than just an 80s action flick. It was satire, science fiction, and movie magic all rolled into one. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget, dead or alive, you're coming with me to the next video.